UNCTAD has published the Least Developed Countries Report 2015, which this year has the subtitle of Transforming Rural Economies. The departure point of the report is the adoption in September 2015 of the Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development and its Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. The first of the SDGs foresees the elimination of poverty everywhere. If poverty is to be eradicated on a worldwide basis, this means eliminating poverty there where it's most difficult and where the challenge is biggest. This means eliminating poverty in the LDCs, in the least developed countries. And more specifically, this means eliminating poverty in the rural areas of the LDCs. That is where 70% of the population of the LDCs live. Moreover, in the rural areas is where the deficits with respect to the SDGs in terms of poverty, education, health, sanitation and infrastructure is biggest. Attaining the SDGs on a worldwide basis requires doubling the level of consumption of the poorest households on a worldwide basis. More specifically, in the LDCs, attaining the SDGs requires doubling the number of people who start having access to water. It also requires multiplying by 4 the number of persons who start having access to electricity and multiplying by 6 the number of persons who start having access to sanitation. So this is a huge challenge. The question then is how to achieve this. UNCTAD's Least Developed Countries Report 2015 proposes the adoption of a strategy called Poverty-Oriented Structural Transformation of Rural Areas, POST. This POST relies on 3 main elements. The first of these elements is the agricultural upgrading, which means higher agricultural yields, higher labor productivity in agriculture, and also the reorientation of production towards higher value products. The second element of POST is the development of rural non-farm activities. Activities such as commerce, other services, construction, industry, which take place in rural areas. It is important that these activities are driven by opportunities, by pull factors, rather than by necessity or by push factors driven by poverty and lack of alternatives. The third element of POST is strengthening synergies between these 2 major elements of rural economies, i.e. agriculture and non-farm rural activities. Reaching the SDGs in the LDCs requires massive investment in infrastructure and in rural electrification. The report proposes that these massive investments make use of labor-based methods of construction and maintenance, and also on the local acquisition of goods and services so as to develop local economic activities. These massive investments will have to be financed. In order to provide a boost to financing these massive investments required by the Sustainable Development Goals, the report proposes that official development assistance dedicated to least developed countries be raised to 0.35% of the gross national income of donor countries.